Hello, everybody, and welcome into Perspectives. I just got my COVID test from the federal government. I guess I can see if I'm okay. Here's hoping. Glad you could make it and be with us today. We have some interesting folks to talk to, and right off the top, a lady that I've not met before. I know her by reputation, and I'm going to try to get her to tell you more about what it is she does. I think you're going to be interested. Ashleigh Bachert is the name, and she's Vice President of Sales and Experiences of Tulsa, involved in regional tourism. We're talking sports tourism, aren't we, Ashleigh?
We are, and it's such a big business for Tulsa. I think a lot of people don't even realize how big it is for us.
Yeah. How big is it?
Just this year, I mean, we're going to be generating over 100 million just in sports tourism. And we've got BMX headquarters has been relocated here out of Arizona. I mean, we have become the hub, and we're kind of just that silent killer in the sales world when it comes to to sports. So
that's a lot of money. And that's just a part of it, isn't it?
It is just a part of it. I mean, when you look at the visitor experience when they come in, that's direct spending. We're looking at 100 million just around sports. And then we see repeat visitors. So they love it so much. They come back, they bring their kids maybe for a BMX event in November over Thanksgiving. They're in our restaurants, they're spending, but then it's like, well, I kind of want to go see Gathering Place when it's really pretty outside. So they come back in for a summertime visit and explore Discovery Lab, or they discover the aquarium or whatever it may be. So we truly, in all of our events, especially on the sports side, do such a great job that it becomes a repeat visitor and people want to come back and they want to see more.
Well, I tell you what, Ashleigh, forgive me here. I'm going to ask a dumb question. You're Vice President, Sales and Experiences of Tulsa Regional Tourism. What do you do?
This is always the good question. I have a lot of fun. So I oversee both the Tulsa Sports Commission and the Tulsa Convention and Visitors Bureau sales teams as they try and recruit business. So anything from equine to think about a board of directors meeting or a budget meeting, not as sexy to then turn around and then say, hey, we're going to bring in Ironman, or we're going to bring in Bassmaster Classic, or something along those lines. So I oversee both teams as they try to recruit that business here. And then the events and experiences team is really charged with making sure that the visitor experience and the operation of those events runs super smooth. So anything from helping procure barricades or permitting, or it may legitimately be recruiting volunteers and being on hand. Just this past year for Ironman, I'm a VP of sales, and I was helping check in bikes for Ironman. So getting a chance to really get with the people that are coming to Tulsa and hearing their excitement, or seeing a little kid who gets a chance to score their first soccer goal in a big tournament, like that's the stuff I get to do. And I adore it. I come from a sports background, so anytime I get a chance to see.
I was going to say, it sounds like you have a sports background.
Yep. So I played softball. My sisters all played college softball. Went and worked in college athletics for 7 years. I ran sports commissions for 7 years. It has been such a big part of our lives, and part of my life, and kind of my foundation, that whenever I get a chance to see a kid play, or an adult, I mean, I run marathons and halves. So anytime I get a chance to see just people being active and exploring our city through sports, it makes my heart happy.
I know part of the logo push from your organization is hoops, home runs, and holes in one. Are you going to be involved now with the PGA?
Yeah, we just have this small golf tournament coming up in May. Not a big deal. It's really, I mean, at the end of the day, it's only the prestigious event of the PGA Tour. So we have been working with Southern Hills. Them and their membership did a phenomenal job of stepping up to the plate and saying, hey, we want to be considered, when it was getting pulled out of one of Trump's courses. And I can't say enough great things about Nick Sidorkis and his team out there for the work that they did. And we've been really instrumental in helping with the hotel portion of it. And now we're working with them on where are people going to take out clients? Where are you going to eat? Oh yeah, by the way, like we probably don't have enough restaurants. So how do we get private chefs involved? How do we get caterers and really put small business owners to work, which I think is another wonderful side of our business, is that I know when we bring events into town, people like housekeepers, servers, bartenders, chefs, Uber drivers, people that really rely on our economy are getting put to work and have the opportunity to earn that money that sometimes they so desperately need during these times.
Yeah, and people would be amazed to know how much money flows into our town when there's a major event like PGA.
Yep. So PGA alone is almost a $68 million event for our city. And that is over the course of 6 days. Now, granted, some of that we're going to get some traction prior to. So we've got about 4.2 with the media that's going to come in ahead of time and the production and the TV crews and stuff like that. But 38, almost $39 million will be spent by visitors and spectators over 6 days. That is an incredible number and such a great thing for our economy moving forward to have 1 week really just take off and push us into another era.
It's amazing to me, and ever since I moved here back in the 70s, I've always been astounded at the number of classy and world-class athletes that live in this part of the country.
We do. We have some phenomenal athletes, whether it be from golf or, now with BMX headquarters, we're going to have some of the world's best athletes living in our backyard. Even on the equestrian side, I don't think people even realize the equine industry. I think people think beef and cattle and that type of stuff, but our equine industry is so huge and thriving in this area, and the names that come through here. My favorite thing, I don't know if you're a Yellowstone fan. I am a Yellowstone fan. But our director of CVB sales was like, hey, that like half of the horses on that set came through Tulsa with our national snaffle bit event.
No kidding.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're so well trained that you get an opportunity to see them. And we've got breeders that'll be coming through right around the same time as PGA. And some of the names of the horses, as through, again, Yellowstone, they're talking about the breeding rights and stuff like that. Like, those are horses that competed and won at Expo Square. And like, we're in our backyard. And things like that are just, for me, are super, I'm kind of geeky about that type of stuff. And I just think it's super cool. So.
Well, and same thing holds true. Now, are you involved in soccer, the bigger soccer games or bigger soccer players?
So we work a little bit with FC Tulsa. We don't have a ton. They're such an incredible team and they do a lot of their work. So we support the Kraft brothers and James Cannon and his team and their efforts. We do oversee Mohawk Sports Complex. So we'll see kind of up and coming athletes come through the complex. In fact, I'm watching pages as kids get signed and I'm like, oh, like that kid played at that tournament. Like, oh yeah, I remember seeing them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know of some of the bigger soccer players.
I have been amazed at how some of the high schools have managed to convert, and it literally convert their athletic properties or facilities into such really outstanding playing fields.
You must be in our conversations between me and Joel, our director of sales. We are always talking about our facilities, and we say the same exact thing. Coming from college athletics, I moved here from North Carolina for this position, and one of our partners was North Carolina Central. This is not a dig on North Carolina Central and CCU. They're a phenomenal program, and I love their group. But there are high schools here that have better facilities than a Division I program like Central.
Kind of scary, isn't it?
It is, but you know what? At the same time, it is incredible for our athletes. Like, they're getting this amazing opportunity that when they, and if they so choose to go on to the next level of their play, walk into some of these facilities and they're not just completely overwhelmed by it. It's like, oh, this seems like home. And And that puts them on a much higher playing field as they go after those, scholarship dollars, or they're walking into their freshman year. Like that alone, I think prepares them in a completely different level that I don't think most people think of. And it's that overwhelming feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm walking into like a massive field house for indoor soccer. And I mean, they've already experienced it. So it's no big deal. And that gives them a competitive edge. And I'm glad that as a community, we're able to do that for them.
Oh, I remember, when I was a kid, when you went into the gym, for gym class or whatever, because I was in the band. But when you went into the gym, I can still remember what that gymnasium looked like.
Mhm.
And it was not what you'd call a sterling gym. But you go into some of these gyms today, like Booker T. Washington gym, and it'll just blow you away. Go down to Jenks, take a look at what they've got. Union High School. I mean, these are classy looking gymnasiums.
Yep.
And practice fields and playing fields.
Yeah, hey, I completely understand. I mean, we talk about the UMAC and try and get colleges to look at the UMAC, and they're like, oh, it's a high school. And we finally get them here for a site visit. And they're like, oh, like this is a really good high school. And the same thing for Jenks, and the same thing for Tulsa County or Tulsa Public Schools. Like, it's just the ability for us to book more events because we do have some of the best athletic facilities it kind of in the state. I mean, I really would put any of our facilities up against anybody in the state, and it continues to be so strong. It allows us and helps us win that business.
Almost harkens back to the day when oil was king, doesn't it?
It really does. And facilities will always remain the number one driver for site selection. And then right behind it, usually, how many hotel rooms, and then it gets into the things, the touchy feelies. How is the community to work with? Do we feel like we're welcomed? Do we feel like this is going to be a viable option for our attendees and things like that? But facilities are the number one need and request. And if you don't have it, you're not winning the business. And I will tell you, we're winning the business. So we're doing something right.
Yeah, there you go, kid. Ashleigh, thank you for taking time to visit with us.
Absolutely.
And down the road, I'd like to have you back if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
And let's talk a little more about this.
Yeah, I've loved my time with you. So I will come back whenever you're ready for me.
You're on, kid. Ashleigh, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, we're all out of time. We'll see you back here. Let's see, I guess in about 10 minutes. No, 2 minutes. What am I saying, 10? I'll be right back.